I want to express my thanks to everyone at Università Marconi, certainly Professor and Professora Brigante. We are a proud member of GUIDE, and as you saw earlier, we are in a number of cooperative arrangements with Marconi University, which is clearly one of the objectives of GUIDE. I know you are very tired of listening, and since I haven't spoken all morning, I'm not the least bit tired talking, and you're going to be done listening probably before I'm done talking, but
thank you.
Don't let me know. I'll go as quickly as I can. Let me tell you something about my university first. We are relatively small, 14,000 students, but with the exception of about 2,000 of those students, the remaining 12,000 are the adult working people whose lives are very real every day with children and jobs and the like. We are a not-for-profit institution, and that's important. I will get back to that. We are Catholic but universal, and our mission is about opportunity and being student-centered. When I say we are private, not-for-profit, we are not taxpayer supported, and any surplus revenues at the end of the year are not distributed to any investors or anyone. They go back into improving the university's programs. We are unusual in that we actually have physical locations where we teach in classrooms in 7 states, organized through 17 administrative centers, and we teach in 40 different locations. But we, in Florida, have the very traditional college, American college residential campus. We are also blessed to be highly diverse in terms of our students' ethnicity, their religions, their geography. Some 50 nations are represented within our student body, both on campus and through our centers and through our very extensive online learning programs. A few words about American higher education. There are approximately 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States, serving a population of about 300 million people. About 3,600 of them are not-for-profit, and about 400 are for-profit. They have been developed by investors, and they seek to turn a profit by educating the population. The University of Phoenix is the largest and best known, and to some extent makes the market. About 2,700 of those not-for-profit institutions are public, and earlier this morning, 3 of them, 3 very different ones, were represented here on the panel: Penn State University, the City University of New York, and Towson State University in Maryland. About half of those 2,700 plus or minus public colleges and universities are community colleges. They tend not to have any residential students, and they are the most likely to have online courses, but not very many complete online programs. Then you have regional state universities, and I think Towson would qualify there, and then flagship research universities, and Penn State University would obviously qualify in that definition. And then you have 900 plus or minus private, not-for-profit colleges and universities, many very small, and only about 100 or so are rich. I'm going to try and not only give my presentation, but if I can, draw a little on what each of the previous presenters offered to you. Professor Moore giving a wonderful foundation in the theory and history. Professor Adi, I'm going to speak very much in terms of how online education is becoming very local, but I'm going to speak from a different point of view. I will touch on some of the advanced technology and the need for that in the marketplace, not necessarily because it all improves pedagogy, although I think it all has the potential to do so, but because in the marketplace students equate some of that with quality. And so I will refer to indirectly what Professor Pampaloni presented. And Professor Teixeira mentioned franchising and mergers and acquisitions, and I will certainly address that very quickly. And Professors Sakamoto and Song in terms of the preparing students for what industry needs and responding appropriately to industry in all of those ways. If this will advance it. I use this quote because if you went back 10 or 12 years ago, I don't think that most people in American higher education believe that online education was going to be any more successful than other distance learning models. There had been a great deal of excitement about using television to teach and extend higher education opportunities in the United States, and it didn't happen to anywhere near the extent that some hoped that it would. And I believe that the online learning marketplace is headed for other significant changes. There's more clarity on market domination, and the largest universities, and a lot of this is drawn from the 2006 study by the Sloan Consortium, or commissioned by the Sloan Consortium, and done by the Babson Research Group. But large universities in the United States are increasingly dominating the landscape, but locally within their service areas. Large universities tend to be public universities, and public universities have embraced online learning with more enthusiasm and commitment than have private universities. This is particularly true, again, of the two-year colleges, but the data shows that they offer courses, more online courses than any other sector in American higher education, but fewer complete programs. And then there are the for-profit universities, like the University of Phoenix, and they are offering full degree programs online and in many cases in blended or hybrid models as well, and doing that very successfully. But the regional market, the local market, is starting to rule over national markets, and still bricks and clicks will dominate. What do I mean by bricks and clicks? This may be uniquely American terminology. Bricks are brick and mortar colleges and universities, physical locations. And many of those private colleges that I talked about do not offer much, if anything, in full online courses or certainly full online degrees. Cliques tend to be for-profit. In fact, beyond a few systems established by public higher education systems in the States, there are few, if any, fully clique universities where there are no physical places where students go to classes. And then bricks and clicks are universities such as those who have already presented from the United States this morning, and my own, where we have physical locations, a campus, residential students, and thank you. It is beautiful, and also extensive online programs. How is the market changing? Online courses and programs continue to grow very dramatically in the United States. From 9.7% of all higher education delivered in the United States in 2002 to nearly 20% in the fall of 2006. Online courses move from a competitive advantage to a necessity. Certainly, if you're competing for that adult working student, they are demanding online courses. And more colleges and universities will introduce online degree programs, and you heard some examples of some very new ones that are being offered. And market dilution by all of those, particularly public universities, because their taxpayers support it, enjoy a considerable advantage in the United States marketplace from a standpoint of price. Public universities charge a lower tuition than do private universities because they have taxpayer support. And so for an institution like mine with a considerable investment in a national online program, as this market gets fragmented by more and more public institutions offering online degree program options to their students, where they will have more brand identity in that geographic area than do I, it makes it more challenging for us to compete. So more colleges will add students, but as we already heard, particularly from Professor Adi, that by and large they will be serving their own students, particularly those students who have stopped out. But for those of us in the market to acquire students nationally, the costs of promoting our brand in the national marketplace and the international marketplace is increasing every day and getting more difficult. So the market is changing from national to regional. The promotion of brand identity becomes more and more important, and that landscape has changed, and in the interest of time I won't go into it, but if any of you are interested, I will be happy to pursue it with you at the break. Large public universities can dominate, but are probably less likely to leverage their brand value within their state and their lower cost advantages because they're less inclined to invest the money in marketing those things extensively. Niche markets can be very viable, and they can be geographic niche markets or they can be programmatic niche markets, programs that are difficult to find and access elsewhere. And I believe graduate programs will grow at the greatest pace of all. And again, in the interest of time, I won't develop that. In the United States, the distance learning market, the online market, is now mature. As I said, student acquisition costs for those who wish to serve the entire country as well as beyond the United States. And at St. Leo, our Center for Online Learning has students from all 50 states and over 30 nations. But that's going to become more and more expensive to maintain. Small players who are certainly those that are not already well invested in online learning in the United States, I think have little opportunity, certainly the not-for-profit, to develop any kind of national or even a marketplace beyond their immediate region. The big players ate the low-hanging fruit. What do I mean by that? The University of Phoenix got out ahead of most of the not-for-profit colleges and universities in the United States. They saw a need and a demand and they grew very, very rapidly. But as particularly those large public universities enter with full online degree programs, they're bricks and clicks, they have price advantages. It's going to slow the University of Phoenix domestic growth in the United States, which is why I believe that they will look more and more internationally. And that's where what Professor Teixeira spoke in terms of franchising and mergers and acquisitions. I think you will see much more of that both internationally and domestically. And their profit margins will shrink, and since they must report profits every quarter to the financial markets, that's going to put them under increasing pressure to grow, and they can make the market. Interestingly, despite all the growth, most traditional faculty still do not accept the value of online instruction. And Professor Moore, our faculty are from 36 states, and I suspect some of your faculty protecting the professorate at Penn State are also teaching for us online. We found that elsewhere. It's better done somewhere else than being done to themselves. But more faculty, as time goes on, there's going to be a great generational shift in the United States in terms of the faculty. With the impending retirement, potentially of 50% of our full-time faculty in the next 10 to 15 years, more faculty will adopt and advocate online courses each year. Some highly traditional universities with strong faculty governance will resist full degree programs, and we see that still. The faculty are very much afraid of that cannibalization that's been referred to, and other aspects that will threaten their current status. And I think star faculty, faculty with their own brand, will adopt online education and will become entrepreneurs. Just as they sell textbooks today, they will be selling courses to colleges and universities in the future. This will give you some sense of the growth between fall '04 and fall '05, increasing by 900,000 students. It's the adult students particularly, increasing demand for convenience of online courses and programs. Essentially, our students are somebody else's stop-outs, somebody else who did not get into online degree programs. And they stopped out, we attracted them back, and they completed their degrees with us. There are four major motivations. I won't go into all of them, but one is particularly relevant to this morning, and that is to gain the skills that their employers are demanding of them to either maintain the jobs within the company that they have or to position themselves for advancement in that company. The changing economies that I referred to will induce more adults to pursue certificates, degrees, and advanced degrees. And online student communities will increase in their importance. And I believe it was Professor Adi that talked about all the other services that you need. You need online registration, online bill payment, online advising, so forth. But these students also want community beyond the classroom. And creating those communities are important. Traditional age students tend to prefer the more blended courses, partially online and partially in the classroom. Classroom courses will employ more of the technologies we're using to deliver online courses. And online courses will require more technological bells and whistles, as similar to what just the one that Professor Pompoloni demonstrated. And as I said, in the online marketplace, more students tend to relate those kinds of bells and whistles to quality. I don't think it's necessary, but it can be very useful, but in the marketplace it will increasingly be. Traditional summer schools of the brick colleges and universities will decline and often disappear. Most of our students throughout the United States have to work at least in the summer to help pay their educational bills, and so they become very similar to our typical online student, 37 years old, working, so forth. They take their summer job, but they also take their summer courses. And students will demand more proof of value. We're all going to have to demonstrate the outcomes, not only outcomes in terms of improved employability, but outcomes in terms of real student learning. Here are some of the technological changes that I see coming. Grassroots video that has become very popular among the younger generation has interesting applications for improved pedagogy and tutorials and so forth. Social operating systems, the MySpace, but very closed, and for the particular college or university and built around the people, not necessarily the content. Collaborative webs, the ability to, for groups to document or edit documents, do information and data exchanges, and have video online meetings very, very easily, I think will become increasingly necessary. And the kind of course design that Professor Moore laid out so completely is going to be necessary. What is it going to take to survive? You're going to have strategy. You're going to have real quality in terms of the pedagogy and the learning, brand identity, investment capital, a real customer focus, a sense of entrepreneurism, agility, because everything changes so rapidly, and a lot of perseverance. It will not be easy. I think I can skip that one, and the real challenge for all of us is to educate as many people as we can throughout the world. Again, we got into it because we are a college founded to provide opportunity where there was none, and to be student-centered, and online education is both a way of extending that opportunity in a very student-centered fashion. We now have to really work hard to stay viable in this rapidly changing market. I thank you for your attention after a very, very long morning, and I'm sure you're hungry, and I'm done.